Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesse Waters. I run Banks Mill Feeds. I want to say thank you for taking a few moments out of your busy evenings to join us. Dr. Cube is going to go over some of the new things we've done with the feeds, some of the new technologies and research that have gone into them, as well as what Dr. Cube and Dr. Duran with Performance Horse Nutrition service they offer directly to you as the customer. So once again, thank you for showing up, Dr. Cubitt.
Thanks, Jesse. I just want to thank you all again for joining into tonight's webinar. At the beginning of the year, I said, I know you probably aren't familiar with this type of format, but by now I'm sure every one of you have been on at least one webinar, whether it be with kids and Zoom or Facebook Live or a GoToMeeting this year. So it's probably not that new to you, but I really appreciate you getting on. Earlier in the year, it was probably around March, Performance Horse Nutrition partnered with Banks Mill Feeds, and we started helping Jesse with all of the formulations, giving some suggestions on potential new feeds. So we're excited that all of those new feeds are on the market now. And what I wanted to do today was just go over a little bit about Performance Horse Nutrition so you can kind of understand where Jesse was thinking, partnering up with Performance Horse Nutrition. And as Jesse mentioned, what benefits do you as the customers get from Banks Mill partnering with an equine nutrition consulting company like ours? I want to touch on a couple of the new technologies that I think are real groundbreaking technologies, and then touch on the new feeds. In future webinars, I'd love to go over all of the changes that we've made with the existing signature line as well, but we all know these webinars can get a little boring, so we'll keep it short tonight, and we'll hope to do more in the future. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. If you're listening to this as a recording, please email Jesse and we will get you the answers. At the end, we will open it up for questions as well. So I just want to touch on kind of the investment. I always think that when a company, one of our clients, partners with Performance Horse Nutrition, they're making an investment. Their investment to give you, the customers and the dealers, some quality, either a quality product for the dealers to sell or quality products for customers to use with their horses. We're putting together products with nutritional merit. Every single product, every single new technology we bring to the table for any of our clients is backed and supported by science in horses. We make sure that we may take the most complicated science, but we want to make sure that it is consistent, it's easy to read, and there's easy feeding directions, and you will look at these feeds and you'll know which lane they fit in, so that there's not, oh well, which feed should I be trying? I'm not quite sure. They really fit in a particular category well. And then also we've helped with the packaging, because we all know that packaging, whilst the importance is in the bag, we really want the packaging to reflect the quality of that product as well. So they chose to invest in Performance Horse Nutrition. A little bit about Performance Horse Nutrition. It was founded in 2002 by Dr. Stephen Duran. And his goal, he had worked with several other nutrition consulting companies, but his goal was really, when he started Performance Horse Nutrition, to advance the science of feeding horses. And that kind of sounds complicated, but really it's going back to what I said earlier, taking the most complicated science and making sure that whether we're speaking to veterinarians, 3-day event riders, 4-H kids, Pony Club kids, everybody can understand that information and feels like that they get something out of their conversations with us. So Dr. Duran has, so many letters after his name, but he will always tell you he's most proud of being a dad to 2 kids who are no longer kids, they're grown adults. He lives in Idaho. He's got a bachelor's of science from the University of Idaho, animal science, did his master's and PhD at the University of Kentucky. And Dr. Duran, he is engrossed in the racing world, and he loves anything to do with nutrition and exercise physiology, and really applies that to all different sporting disciplines. But he really thrives when it comes to exercise and nutrition. Myself, I am a mom of 2 boys. I would spell that MUM because I'm also a native of Queensland, Australia. I moved over here in 2001 and did a master's and PhD at Virginia Tech. I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Queensland in animal science. I focused my master's on equine nutrition and growth, and then my PhD focused on equine nutrition and reproduction. There are kind of several aspects of what performance horse nutrition does. We've got 3 primary consulting focuses. We work with feed and supplement manufacturers all over the world. We work with certain private farms and training facilities on a one-on-one basis where they will have a contract with us. And we also work with a lot of veterinarians and biotech companies, helping them with kind of practical application of products. But the 2 bullets in the middle there, we will work directly with your farm or facility if you're using one of our clients' products, be it one of our supplement manufacturers, one of the Banks Mill feeds. You don't have to pay that fee. We will work for you. That is a value add that that company brings to the table. They pay for our services so that you guys can use our resources. What do we do for Banks Mill Feeds? What does the partnership look like particularly, and what can you expect from Performance Horse Nutrition? Well, for Jesse and the team, we do new product development. We're constantly evaluating new technologies. Every time you turn the page or look at another Google page, there is another thing that somebody is trying to get you to feed to your horse on the internet or in some blog or Facebook group. And so we make sure that we're never trying to add technologies that aren't backed by science and research. We're a resource to your dealers. You might go to your dealer and say, I am having this problem, and maybe that dealer is getting that question a lot. They can call us directly and we can answer those questions for them. Or maybe they just have some feeding questions of their own so that they can answer their customers more appropriately. When it comes directly to the customers, we'll answer questions, troubleshoot tough feeding scenarios. Today alone, I've been in touch with a couple of Banks Mill clients. Jesse will shoot me a text and say, hey, can you call this person? They're having these issues. Maybe they've changed hay and their horses got diarrhea. How can I help? Or they're looking to change to Banks Mill feeds, but they're unsure of how to transition or what feeds to feed. Can we develop a program for the whole farm? Evaluating forage reports. You know, you will find when I talk about basic nutrition in future webinars that there is nothing that comes in a bag or a bucket that is more important than the forage that your horse will eat. And when I'm talking about forage, I'm talking about hay and pasture, the fiber that your horse eats. That is the most important part of your horse's diet. And oftentimes, if we have a facility that is large enough and it gets enough quantity of hay, we will suggest doing a hay test. And from that hay test, we'll get a forage report and we need to be able to evaluate that, and I can help do that. And then we can design specific diets and programs around the hay, because unfortunately we out here on the East Coast, I live in Culpeper, Virginia right now, we don't really have access to great quality hay. But it's all we have available to us because hay is also at a premium and it is often at a shortage. So we have to work with what we've got. So some years it might be better than others and we find our horses are gaining weight. Some years they're losing weight. So we need to be able to evaluate forage and design programs to go with that. We also will help develop diets and work directly with veterinarians. We all have a team, right, working at our facility. You're a farrier, you're a veterinarian, you have a dentist, maybe you've got some body workers or massage therapists for your horses, and it's really important that everybody's on the same page to working towards the goal that you have for your horses in your program.
Animal nutritionists formulate diets to provide carbohydrates as an energy source for livestock. Using different digestive processes, cows and pigs convert these carbohydrates into glucose, which is ultimately released into the bloodstream. Once in the bloodstream, glucose can reach different organs in the body. When the blood reaches the animal's pancreas, beta cells inside the pancreas detect the rising glucose levels. To reduce the glucose level, beta cells release insulin into the bloodstream. As blood circulates through the animal, insulin and glucose exit the bloodstream into tissues to reach the animal's cells. Many of the animal's cells have specific receptors on their surfaces that bind to the circulating insulin. Insulin acts like a key in a lock to open the cell by activating glucose transporters so that the circulating glucose can get inside the cell. The dietary trace element, chromium, is necessary to optimize the activation of the insulin receptor so that more glucose can get into the cell. A maximum of 4 chromium molecules may bind to one insulin receptor, which can lead to an 8-fold difference in insulin receptor activation. Adding supplemental chemtrace chromium propionate to the diet provides the additional chromium for insulin receptor activation. Chromium enhances this reaction, causing glucose transporter activation, allowing additional glucose to enter the cell. The additional glucose will allow for more energy to be available for proper cell function. Proper functioning cells can lead to a healthier, more productive animal.